As I live and breathe. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to our first Friday show of our weekly little football talk. Give you the ins and outs of all things fantasy, all things greatness. But of course, I can't do it by myself. I can only do it when with one of the best co-hosts I've ever had. Of course, I'm talking
Facts.
about Mr. J. Rush. How are you today, sir?
Amazing. What's up, everybody? Did you tell my
Amazing.
energy? We're throwing energy out here
I,
early.
I love this energy. I love it. I love it.
It must have
Uh,
been the Fridays. We need to start on Fridays instead.
Yeah, I mean, you get that energy boost for the weekend. Happy weekend, everybody. Hope we all enjoy it. Hope it brings you good vibes. Uh, but we got to talk about some football because there's some major games this week, a little interesting games that are between two legends, I would say, that we could have a nice talk about. I want to talk about the travesty that went down in the Tampa Bay Saints game because, that was just utter disrespect from Tampa Bay, and they should. And I'm glad that Godwin got suspended. As a
Oh,
fantasy owner, it upsets me, but I
Godwin
mean,
got suspended? That son of a bitch. He wasn't even
I
playing
mean
in the
Evans.
game.
Evans. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
upset
that guy.
excuse me. I'm upset because Godwin is out as of today.
Oh,
Reports are Godwin's out, so if you have him, don't play him. I had to play St. Peppers yesterday.
St. Peppers? Yeah, how do you do? God,
Not
imagine being
good.
in the Dynasty League and rolling that lineup that you have out there. Imagine.
Listen, we said it first week here on the show. When it comes to dynasty leagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here for the long haul. I am producing my rookies young, so I'm ready for the future when I take down everybody in the fantasy league. It's just sometimes you got to have some rainy days before you have some rainy sunny days there, Mr. J. Rush. Well, let's
I'm I'm not sure when we're seeing him with that lineup, but we'll pretend like it's
we'll
gonna
see,
happen.
ladies and
Lots of
gentlemen.
rainy
This
days.
is let's do a little nice bet. In the
A nice
spirit
bet.
of what you had for Chicken Magician, I will
Uh,
be a over 500 team with my dynasty team at the end of the season.
let's just throw it out there, chat. He's 0-6 in Yahoo between three leagues, but somehow he's gonna get over 500. If
I'm
you get
telling
over
you.
500 in any of the leagues, would be a miracle.
Do
Let
you
alone this
grant that?
league where you're terrible. And first off, we can't make this bet because I'm waiting for you to sell off like the one asset you do have, so you can build for the future. So that wouldn't help the bet, which wouldn't make it fair. But whatever you would like, whatever you'd like.
What I would like is to talk football with you, sir. We're going to start with Thursday night's game. Now, kicked off week 3. Let's bring it up and
Well, let's just be logical here. Why don't we talk about week 2 before we talk about week 3?
that is fair.
I
That is
know we're
fair.
on a Friday where week 3 has already begun, but maybe we should talk about the original week first. So
Sounds like
talk
a plan.
about the Thursday night game from that one.
So we got the Chiefs Chargers. Chiefs win.
As seen by on the screen, correct?
How do you think this went? Do you think it was a decisive Chiefs victory? Where do you stand with the
It
Chargers Chiefs game of
was
last
not a
Thursday?
decisive victory. And Herbert playing hurt late in the game showed that he's got enough intestinal fortitude to make things happen. Playing with fractured rib cartilage, I don't know how that's a thing. I can understand tearing it or something, but I don't understand how your cartilage fractures. I guess it's kind of bony, but whatever. Either way, fractured rib cartilage. Threw a touchdown late after throwing a pass about 3 feet with his receiver being about 5 feet away. So good on him for keeping his team in the game, playing hurt. But Chargers fell short on a big division game to prove that they're legit. And that's that.
Because of course, in recent years, we've always seen that the Chargers definitely one of those wild card teams that they got the offense and the defense, but they can make a push if they have a nice little matchup. But with what Jay Rush was saying, I completely agree. It's the Chiefs are also very hungry from last year, so I
Well,
just
we'll talk about this guy later, but they look very different without Tyreek Hill.
that's 100%. As you said, we'll talk about that. Patriots Steelers Patriots won. Excuse me.
So we'll get to talk about the Steelers twice today, but we'll start with this game. Steelers didn't look very good in this game. I mean, neither team looked really good looking at the score. There were some bad interceptions thrown in this game. All those goodies. The Steelers, I get it, they don't have Ben, and he couldn't move the ball down the field in his final season. They made the playoffs. This Steeler team, not looking like a team that's got any shot at making the playoffs right now. I know it's early, but there's not a lot to talk about in this game. Harris got a little banged up, scored a touchdown. Nelson Aguilar's looked pretty good, and he called out their offense. He said, "Well, I'm not sure what we're doing half the time because it seems like we're confused and we don't have any dynamic plays." But hey, guess what? They won the game, and most of that's what matters. Go ahead,
Yep.
click the thing. I know you're excited. Click it. Click
Hold
it.
on.
There it is.
He should not have played after he got hurt. One more hurt, and he was out.
I'm thinking it's one more hit and he was out, but probably. I mean, but the fact that they're already talking about. So again, now our show being on Fridays changed the dynamic a little bit. We know who practiced, who didn't practice, so we can say this more confidently. He's going to be a legit game time decision, and I feel like he's going to play, just because in that division it's important for the Chargers. So I feel like unfortunately he's going to play, and it may end up being a thing that lingers throughout the whole season, but we shall see.
Time indeed will tell. Big Blue.
Uh,
What the fuck is going over in New York right now, Mr. J. Rush? What is going on with the Giants?
They are a legitimate juggernaut. Daniel Jones is the man. Woo.
Oh, that's coming from a Jets fan. That's deep. That's deep.
So we saw this game. Okay, the Giants won. This game also was ugly. Saquon Barkley did not show up to the extent of week one. So that's a little concerning. Christian McCaffrey was much better than he was week one.
Week one, yep, absolutely.
Two big named running backs seeming, again, it's only 2 games in, but one's going up and one's going down. McCaffrey seems to be going in the right direction, Barkley in the wrong, but the Giants did win. As Greg said, they have a coaching staff. What concerns me is the morale for this core, I'm going to say. We saw week one, Kadarius Toney, who was a first-round pick, played 7 snaps. They used the excuse of he was banged up, he didn't get to participate a lot in practices, preseason, blah, blah, blah. In week 2, your big money wide receiver, Kenny Galloway, played 2 offensive snaps. 2. So what is the reasoning behind this? Now they said, oh, it's our game plan, the game flow, blah, blah, blah. You're paying a guy $21 million, which means he made $10.5 million per play last week. That's not very good. And I don't care if he's not performing. You're paying the guy, you got to play the guy. Even if he's just a decoy and you legitimately don't throw him the ball, he needs to be on the field. Because you can't tell me that, and I like some of these guys that they have at their wide receiver 4 and 5 and, Stills and all that. I like them in college, but you cannot tell me that David Stills is better than Kenny Galladay. You just can't tell me that. Richie James, I believe, is another one. You can't tell me that those guys are more influential and game changing than Kenny Galladay or even Tony. All I'm saying, Greg, is that the excuse for why Tony didn't play a lot week one was because he missed time. Sterling Shepard missed time all preseason and during practice, and he's played like 60-something snaps. So you can't say one thing, Tony didn't play because he missed practice, and then Shepard, who misses practice, plays 60 snaps between 2 games. It doesn't make sense. But anyway, Giants won. They're tied for first. Rejoice.
Rejoice indeed. And to rejoice for you, sir, because your Jets, your New York Jets, also had a win this past week.
You want to talk about pathetic? We also get to talk about the Browns twice this week, both in opposite directions. So back in the day, a lot of guys, and this is coming from Browns where they've done this before, where they've had a play where they got a first down, could have got a touchdown probably, and slid down in bounds and ran out the clock. The Browns were up two. Nick Chubb scored a touchdown and put the Browns up 2 scores. They missed the extra point and end up blowing a game with a 99.7% chance of winning to the Jets. Not an elite team, a team led by Joe Flacco. And don't get me wrong, Joe Flacco looked like Super Bowl Joe Flacco last week. So that says a lot about this Browns team. They debuted their new logo, trying to be, he, look at us, new Browns team. We're going to murder the Jets. And then you lost to the Jets. The Jets. Wilson had a coming out party. Unfortunately, he was not the quarterback. But if Wilson and Wilson becomes a thing, the Jets are really onto something. But to be fair, after 2 weeks, Joe Flacco is in the top 5 in passing. Says a little bit, but also
Do you think?
tells you how much you have to throw the ball to win a
Do you
game.
think they'll be 500 at the end of the season?
No. I thought they were a 500 team last year, and they completely
I remember you
flopped.
saying it on the show.
And they flopped last year. So now this year, yes, they have better pieces, but injuries earlier already taking a toll. I still think they're 2 years away, unfortunately. So maybe next year might be the push for 500, and we go from there. I don't think this will be the year. They need a lot more things like this. They need to play the Browns every week and have the Browns just throw the game away. But if that don't happen, Buffalo's gonna mow them down. Miami's probably gonna mow them down. That's 4 games right there, 4 losses. In
Yeah,
New
but
England,
nobody be touching those Bills right now.
the way New England's playing, you could say maybe they split 1-1, but still, that's 1-5 in your division.
Greg got your back. He thinks about 8 or 9 wins. I think that's fair.
I wish, but I don't think this season.
Positivity. Colts versus the Jags. Talk about humiliation. Matt Ryan, man.
Yeah, that's not looking pretty. That experiment's not looking good at all.
How much do you think that all the Colts are like, did we make a mistake here? The Jags up 24 to nothing.
So I don't know. Obviously, if you told me right now I needed a quarterback for this year, I could choose Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz. More than a solid majority would have been like, give me Matt Ryan. But right now, Carson Wentz looks much better than Matt Ryan. I don't know what is going on over there. I get it. Michael Pittman didn't play week 2, so that hurts. But Michael Pittman wasn't saving his team in this game. Jacksonville literally manhandled them. Yes, Gurley, he did. He's finally taking the reins of things.
Yeah, this was just upsetting, being that Matt Ryan was in the NFC South. I've always thought that he was a great quarterback, especially, you had Julio Jones right up in his prime. You had the weapons. You also had good old Devontae Freeman back in the day when he was a very good running back. You had the weapons. And now going over to the Colts, even though you have Jonathan Taylor, which really didn't show up week 2, which upsetted a lot of fantasy owners, myself included. But the Colts need to figure out what's going on. They got to get quick, because this is not looking good for the Colts and on their end with the Matt Ryan deal. But at the end of the day, Matt Ryan can deliver. We saw it years ago, but is he just too old? That's the question that we're going to see over this season. Because if he's too old, I don't see it. I see the end being near for Matt Ryan.
So to be honest, I thought he was washed up 2, maybe 3 seasons ago. I know that they lost big name pieces etc. I thought he was coming towards the end then. And then he had a little bit of a revitalization his last season in Atlanta before moving on. So now you're coming off of a better season where you look like a competent quarterback, and now it's back to I don't know what he's doing. The good thing is they're in a really bad division, and we'll talk about the other teams in that division shortly because they've had some rough outings as well. But the Jaguars are in first place. That tells you something about this division.
That that is facts. Let's go to the dominating Dolphins and the Ravens.
Um, that was that was a great game in general.
I agree.
The back and forth was amazing. Both teams showed out. The quarterbacks both showed out, which was
Hmm.
nice to see because they're both younger quarterbacks. One's looking to get paid. One will be looking to get paid, but also proving that he's a legitimate quarterback. But with that being said, uh, the Ravens defense showed a lot of holes. They were up 3 scores, and Tua threw them back into the game. Can they do that every week? Probably not. The thing that scares me is that their running game hasn't been very good. They signed Chase Edmonds, and he hasn't been great. Mostert, what I call him, but Mostert had the bulk of the carries last week, so it doesn't seem like they're committed to one running back or the other, and that purpose scares me. I'm not saying that there has to be a clear cut, but don't start one guy 1 week, so then start the next guy the next week. Things like that. Have a 1A, 1B, or A, B. Don't be like, all right, this guy's starting this week, that guy's starting next week, third guy's starting week 3. You got to commit to something, commit to a back, take some pressure off Tua because we've seen he's made some great passes and he's made some real bad passes, and that's why I'm still not 1,000,000% sold on him, but he's going in the right direction. He leads the league in passing after 2 games. Yes, the Ravens' pass D is terrible. They're down a couple big playmakers. They are adding, but they did not add in the secondary. They added on the D line front. So maybe that'll help. They can get to the quarterback and maybe stop someone. But yeah, that was a great game for the Dolphins. And Jackson, I mean Jackson had a big touchdown run. It was a
Hmm.
great game for Jackson as well, but his defense just couldn't help him out.
I agree. I think this was definitely one of the games that was most exciting on Sunday. Big plays, big plays. Um, I feel like you know, I feel like the Dolphins are going to be definitely a postseason type of looking team. I
I
think they're
mean,
going to make the playoff run this
to
year.
be
Looking how they look, they got. We discussed it. We're going to discuss it. I mean, the Chiefs without Tyreek Hill, you could see they're not the same. But with Waddle and Hill, with
yep.
Tua, I just think that's just a great 1-2 punch. And I would not be surprised if we didn't see the Dolphins, because we know that the Bills are going to run through the division because they mad pissed from last year. I get you, Josh Allen. You do your thing, buddy. But I definitely see as a wild card the Dolphins coming on in. So be very curious to keep an eye on them throughout this schedule. But talking about travesties in the opposite way,
This
the
was the
Saints.
other game of the week right
Oh,
here. Oh wait. The Saints they had a game because I didn't notice them.
nobody did. What a terrible, terrible game. I mean,
So I
it
know I'm gonna give you all your Saints built-in excuses. Kamara didn't play. Jameis is hurt. Wah wah wah. No other quarterback or team has injuries. Only the Saints. So with that being said, I believe this game is 3-3 at halftime, which tells you how pathetic it was.
exactly.
To be
I agree with you.
fair, the Bucks were rolling out there. I don't even know who the hell they were rolling out there at this point. But later on in the game, it got even worse. But they still won. But so the Bucks D was slapping the Saints around like usual. So then the Saints D finally does something, and Mr. Lattimore wants to get fresh with Mr. Brady. And Mike Evans took exception to that, knocked Lattimore on his ass, got
Yeah.
himself kicked out, got himself suspended for beating up, you know, a guy who's like 5'7", 112. So I understand it. I mean, he breathed on him and he fell like 17 yards. I understand that. So it looks real bad when you see things like that. But, you want to talk shit and then you can't back it up is not acceptable. Trust me, the Jets did the same thing, but the Jets, no one would have noticed. If the Jets were talking shit to an elite quarterback, I hope, all right, Jets, Bucks, and some random ass guy on the Jets was talking shit to Brady. Yeah, I hope Mike Evans would knock him on his ass too. Show a little bit of respect. You're over here. You didn't score till late in the game. You were literally doing nothing on offense.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not coming out here talking shit to a team that's beating you. I don't care who you are, Aaron Donald, whatever.
So how I feel this game represented was that clearly the NFC South is still an open doors there, because I feel like for Tampa Bay in the Saints game, we had no Kamara. Jameis is injured. We know this. We understand. We knew it was going to be a tough division matchup. There's no doubt about that. But to not have Tampa do more than 3 points at half and then not pick it up until much later, I mean,
Yeah, but
shows
it's the
that.
same thing. Tampa was missing Julio. They were missing Godwin. They were missing more than what the Saints were missing.
Yes, but then we're arguing a completely different thing, because at the end of the day, they have Tom Brady. Brady will make the fucking guy holding the peanuts in the crowd
Yeah.
like a
But hold on.
superstar.
The Buccaneers chose to have Tom Brady. The Saints chose to have Jameis Winston. That is the bigger difference. So don't blame one team had Tom Brady and one team had the peanut guy throwing the football. They chose to. Drew Brees retired. They replaced him with Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston and now Andy Dalton. These are the guys they brought in. They didn't do these things. Drew Brees didn't retire 5 minutes ago. He retired 2 seasons ago. 2 full seasons ago. And here they are. Oh, let's bring in Jameis Winston. What has he done in his career? Nothing. Let's bring in Taysom Hill. What can he do? Oh, he can run with the ball. All right, we're 2 for 2 here. You know what? They both suck. Let's bring in Andy Dalton. Wait, he can't get out of the field. So Jameis Winston, with his broken whatever the hell he has, I was going to say an anatomy part that females have, but we won't say that on this stream. But if he was so banged up, why did Andy Dalton come in? Andy Dalton's at least made a Pro Bowl. Yeah, every week could be a different story. The Jets won last week. Does anybody expect the Jets to win this week? No.
Well, we
So it's
haven't
already
got
a
the
different
predictions
story.
yet. It could be.
It's already a different story. The Jets have won a game already.
The Commanders, Lions. Lions won.
That they did. And everybody said, and you can scroll to the group chats that you don't read, Swift was going to be on a pitch count. Should they play him? And my response was yes. And what happened? He had like 8 carries and went nuts and murdered them on 8 touches. So imagine if he wasn't banged up and played a full game. The Lions might have won by 30.
Do you think that Swift is becoming the number 1 running back?
Let's get through a full season, because he was banged up a little bit last year too. For right this minute, 2 weeks in,
That's what I'm saying.
Jonathan Taylor's still the guy.
Do you would put him as number 1?
Well, again, granted, one team's played 3 games, but then Nick Chubb looks like the number 1 running back in football right this minute.
Well, that is also fair.
So, like I said, let's get through the season, because if we looked at last year, Derrick Henry was leading the league by 300 rush yards halfway through the season and got hurt. And now we were like in week 14 or 15, and Derrick Henry was still in the top 3 in rushing. So let's get a few games in, Because, like I said earlier, Joe Flacco is in the top 5 in passing, and Joe Flacco is not the 5th best quarterback in football. Is Swift becoming one of the best running backs? I mean, we saw it. He was ranked top for Dynasty League rankings. He was like 6th or so. So that says a lot right there.
Mhm.
Is he a dynamic playmaker with game changing ability? Absolutely, because he only had 8 touches last week. And remind me what team won?
The Lions.
Okay, so he had 8 touches, and his team won. I get it. Amon St. Brown, who's also legit. He has 8 straight games of at least 8 catches. Not Cooper Kupp, not whoever. Pick anybody. He has done that. So their offense is legit. Their defense needs to do more. You know, their rookie had 3 sacks in the first half. I mean, granted, he finished the game with 3 sacks, but they need more of that from him and others. Their offense can obviously keep up with anybody. But I did say I like them, and they were a sleeper team for me. And so far, through 2 weeks, they look great. I know they lost week 1, but
Still up, and
overall,
especially with the division, will be the whole division of the
yeah,
North. Who knows what's happening over there.
exactly.
But you know what's happening over in San Fran?
I want to know.
A new quarterback, and not new, but Jimmy G himself has returned. But why? Why all of a sudden change, Mister J?
Well, because something we knew would probably happen, and it's Trey Lance got hurt and had to get carted off the field and will be out for the year. So, with that being said, Jimmy G came in, and what did he do? He led the 49ers to another victory. Oh, ho, hum, real shock. I get it. They played the Seahawks, but the Seahawks looked good in week 1. Not so much in week 2, but they looked good in week 1. Was it because they're playing a much better team? Probably. But Jimmy G did his thing and did what he's been doing when he's healthy, and the 49ers won a game. Simple as that. Division game, 49ers win. Jimmy G wins. Jimmy G makes lots of money. Jimmy G, for another 15 or so games, will be a very happy man, and then we'll see how this plays out. Other than that, there's not a lot to talk about. San Fran's
Lead
run game needs to
them
go.
to the Super Bowl and wins.
No matter what he does. Say he goes to another NFC championship game, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make money. A lot of money. Because inferior quarterbacks who are considered better than him have not done this, and this would be 2 straight years. Granted, he's lost, but they almost beat the Rams last year. Obviously, we haven't gotten to the playoffs yet to say, hey, this, and that. But they were close themselves to going to the Super Bowl with Jimmy G at quarterback. And then they decided, hey, we're going to go Trey Lance because we drafted him high. You're going to take a back seat. We're going to try and trade you, but we're not going to try and trade you. We're not going to cut you. We're just going to throw more money at you to keep you happy for a year. And bam, now he's back at quarterback. They won. Because what can we say about week 1? Jimmy G is not quarterback. The 49ers played a bad team just like they did this week, and they lost. So, simple as that. They played 2 bad teams and are 1-1. Jimmy G is 1-0, and Trey Lance is 0-1.
Falcons, Rams, 1. Falcons cannot catch a break.
Well, it's not even that. The Rams' defense is now scary in a bad direction. They still have Aaron Donald. They still have Jalen Ramsey. A young, I'll call him upstart, Falcons team. Hung 27 on them. Marcus Mariota at quarterback. And I say it every week. If they play to his strengths, they could be competitive. Well, they played mostly to his strengths and lost by 4 to the Rams. Should the Falcons be this good? Not yet. They have young playmakers, but Kyle Pitts isn't getting the ball. So really, it's been Drake London. Cordell Patterson did nothing in this game. Their other running backs didn't do much. So it was literally Drake London and Mariota running the ball. And they put up 27 on the Rams.
Cardinals, Raiders.
So here's the travesty of this game. We missed the end where all the fireworks happen.
That is fair.
We had to go out, and the Raiders were winning fairly convincingly. And Kyler Murray looked like complete shit. One of us was contemplating thinking about trading him. We know which one it wasn't because one of us would never have drafted him in the first place. But anyway, they were in full panic
Hey, he
mode
got me 30 points.
because through 7 quarters, Kyler Murray looked worse than Joe Flacco. So we'll just use this comparison all week. Kyler Murray looked like absolute garbage. I understand Hopkins is not there. I get it. You knew same thing with the Saints. So you knew Hopkins was suspended. You went and got Hollywood Brown as your replacement. So you made the move to get better. Correct? So that part should be good. For whatever reason, he wasn't meshing. I don't think Moore played. So you're down 2 receivers, but Hollywood Brown was there. AJ Green was there. And AJ Green had arguably one of the worst drops in football that everybody was freaking out that it cost them the game and all this and that. And then the Raiders just said, fuck it. We're the Raiders. We're going to pull the Browns and just implode ourselves. And the Cardinals end up scoring. They have to go for 2 to tie the game. They clocked it out. Kyler Murray literally had 20 seconds. 20 seconds on the 2-point conversion. And he ended up running it in for a touchdown. 20 seconds. What the hell was going on? Not one guy could get past the O-line to even put pressure on him. He was just standing there. Like no blitzing allowed. Like you're playing flag football and the opposing defense isn't allowed to blitz. And they just do jumping jacks trying to block your passes. Because he was just standing there for 20 seconds. Waving people around. Hey, you go this way. You go that way. Somebody get open. 20 seconds later, fuck it. I'm going to run it in myself. And then there's nobody on the Raiders there to... Where? Why are you not spying him? You gave him 20 seconds to throw the ball. And then another 3 seconds to go run the ball into the end zone. What are you doing, Raiders? Yeah. And then, of course, in overtime, the Raiders have the ball. Hunter Renfrow literally gets concussed on the play, fumbles. Cardinals pick it up, touchdown, win. Yay.
Texans, Broncos won. Russell Wilson coming back looking like a Bronco.
Looking like crap again. So as seen, where I'm undefeated in my Dynasty League, it's been no thanks to either one of my quarterbacks. I ended up picking up Jimmy Garoppolo to roll a 4th quarterback in a Dynasty League. Granted, one of them's not playing, but I have 4 quarterbacks on my roster. Maybe one of them could do something. Because certainly ain't been Russell Wilson, and it certainly ain't been Tom Brady. So we had to go get the man who wins in Jimmy Garoppolo. But yeah, Broncos, Jerry Jeudy got hurt. Looked bad. Supposedly it's not as bad, but it looked bad because I thought he broke his collarbone. They're saying it's shoulder. Either way, it's in that vicinity. They haven't ruled him out yet, and it is Friday. I don't think he's playing, but I'm just saying I don't think he's been ruled out yet, but it didn't look good. Cortland Sutton showed up. The tight end. Well, okay, let me rephrase this. The 4 tight ends showed up week 1. No tight end showed up week 2. So I don't know what this offense is doing. Williams and Gordon are supposed to be a thing.
He's out.
He is out? Okay, so that hurts them.
Today at 4:17.
Okay, yeah, so when I looked at about 2:30, 3 o'clock, I just heard that he's hurt, but we knew he was hurt. He hadn't been ruled out at that point. So hopefully it'll be a big week for Cortland Sutton owners. Maybe Russell Wilson will do something this week, but I'm not holding my breath. They haven't looked like a team, I don't want to say sold your soul, but you made a move in a really good division to try and be competitive, and you have not looked like a team ready for that yet.
I perfectly agree. Cincinnati versus Cowboys. Cowboys won 20-0, 2017, excuse me, but no Dak.
Correct, no Dak. The Bengals made Cooper Kupp look formidable. I think it being a home game for the Cowboys is what kind of gave Cooper Kupp that adrenaline rush. They end up kicking a field goal to win the game. It was like a 53-yarder, I think it was, to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
But it was 17-17. Joe Burrow hasn't looked good. Jamar Chase didn't do a lot. Joe Mixon's does what he does. He's not great. He has some weeks where he pops off for like 30 points, but he also has his weeks where he pops off for 8 points. So, he wasn't great. The Bengals offense has looked very different than it has last year. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit concerned about that. The fact that the Cowboys won, if they can stay afloat in that NFC East, of course they have a shot.
Going
Obviously
against the Giants week 3.
they are in a Monday night game. Obviously, there's another team in the division that's also 2-0, but the season's long. They need to stay afloat to give themselves a shot. They did that. The Bengals did not, and the Bengals are 0-2.
Packers Bears. Packers won.
Shocker, right?
Absolutely.
As we've heard, Aaron Rodgers owns them, apparently, literally and possibly figuratively soon. Because the Packers are publicly owned, so technically any of us could own the Packers if we wanted to. But Justin Fields is not getting the ball going down the field, which is very, very, very concerning. Darnell Mooney was supposed to be a breakout player. He's done nothing. Cole Kmet's supposed to be a legitimate tight end. He has one target in 2 weeks. So you have a playmaking tight end who's gotten the ball thrown at him one time in 2 weeks. Not acceptable. I don't care. I get it. David Montgomery's good. Justin Fields can run the ball. But if that's what your offense is going to be, then there's no point having Cole Kmet or Darnell Mooney on your team. You just bring in blocking tight ends, blocking receivers, like Robert Woods. I'm not saying you go there, but like that, and you just block everything and you just run the ball 3 times a punt and call it a day.
Bills Titans.
Oh, Aaron Jones, huge game. Good to see after week 1. So that was big for the Packers.
Oh.
They need that pass game to get going, but the fact that Aaron Jones put up a big game is a big step for the Packers.
I agree.
Go ahead, go into this train wreck.
Bills Titans. Bills again dominate. Who are going to stop the Buffalo Bills?
So Titans playoff team last year. Derrick Henry's healthy at the moment. Traded AJ Brown. Scored 7 points. 7. And they pulled Ryan Tannehill like in the third quarter. And I don't believe they'd scored with Ryan Tannehill. But anyway, Bills offense, too much. Bills defense, too much. Titans, in a real bad division, looking real bad. I feel like with the AJ Brown trade, I know they said, "Oh, hey, we wanted him. We couldn't make the money figures work with cap situations and all that." Guess what? That's on you. You make that work. You cut Ryan Tannehill, if anything, because he's making too much and is not that good. Yes, in years past, I would have said, "All right, Ryan Tannehill is a good enough
Safe bet.
game
Yep.
manager." He's not. Not with this team. You brought in Robert Woods and you drafted Treylon Burks to replace Brown. You scored 7 points with Derrick Henry playing. Your team's not good. You needed AJ Brown. Not saying having AJ Brown on this team would have made it, but it would have at least would have looked like you came to play football. You look like a Pee Wee team this week, and Buffalo manhandled you.
Very true. Eagles Vikings. Eagles are at home.
So,
excuse me, Eagles won. My apologies.
They were at home too, apparently. So we won't discard either. This was, I want to say, surprising, but surprising in the wrong ways. The Eagles made the playoffs last year, so I'm not gonna be like, "Wow, the Eagles just suck ass," and they won. They lucky won. So the Eagles gave up 35 points to the Lions the week before, right? So you're like, okay, their defense is not great because the Lions exposed them. So the Lions go out there and expose them, and now week 2 you got to play the Minnesota Vikings, and you're sitting here like, okay, Kirk Cousins is better than Jared Goff. Justin Jefferson is better than St. Brown. Swift's probably at this point better than Cook, but legit running back. So you got a quarterback, a receiver, and a running back, and the Eagles shut you down. Straight up shut you down after the Lions scored 35. So my shock is how bad the Vikings offense was in this game. Like, that was complete shock because Justin Jefferson's legit. He went for over $150 in week 1, and then Darius Slay, who's older but very good, shut him down. And Kirk Cousins looked like he was playing with his helmet on backwards. So I just don't understand it. I thought the Vikings were going to win this division when we talked about it a few weeks back. Now I don't know what to expect out of the Vikings because they could muster a whopping 7 points against an Eagles team that gave up 35 to the Lions. So who's to say the Lions are going to win this division at this rate? I think the only team that doesn't have a shot is the Bears, the way these teams are playing so far.
I completely agree. Like I said, Eagles looking strong. They were a playoff team last year, but I said it before a couple minutes ago with the NFC North. Like, good God, anybody could really take that mantle. And wouldn't it be a pisser if it was the Detroit Lions?
I mean, I think fans would go crazy if that happened, but it'd be really good for football if it happened.
Oh, 100%. Let's move on to week 3.
All right, now we're on to week 3. There was a game yesterday,
Was there?
allegedly. I mean, one team got the memo that there was a game yesterday. The other team, not so much.
So the Browns come in and they put up 29 points. Steelers are only 17. Fuck you, Kareem Hunt, for not getting me 15.5 receiving yards. Good game for Nick Chubb.
So
Excuse me, what?
here's what I'm going to throw at you because you have Harris in the Dynasty League. And there's nothing wrong with that. He wasn't terrible. Unfortunately, their quarterback situation is terrible. But they interviewed Claypool after the game. Now tell me what you take of this. They interviewed Claypool after the game, and his response was, if we had Nick Chubb, we would have won the game. How does that make you feel?
As a Harris fantasy owner?
Yeah. When your star wide receiver comes out and says, well, if we had the other teams running back, we would have won the game too. That's literally what he said.
That's fair, but in all due respect, I mean, Harris did put up his projected numbers.
Well, I'm saying is, so now you're coming out here telling you're literally, it's like you're taking a shot at your own teammate, saying that he's not that good and not as good as Nick Chubb.
He just misses his big Ben.
I mean, your quarterback wasn't very good. I mean, if Nick Chubb played quarterback for your team, you might have won as well. But
That's fair.
Trubisky made some throws, and by made some throws, Pickens made the catch of the year, saving his throw. It had nothing to do with Trubisky. They literally, and this is my favorite part. Their first play of the game came out on a play action bootleg, and he made a nice pass, and they're like, this is his strength. And then the Steelers said, well, fuck that. We're not using that anymore. And I say this about Marcus Mariota. If Atlanta plays to his strengths, they can be competitive. And the Steelers come out, their first play of the game, play to their below average quarterback strength, and then say, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore because that worked. I don't understand it. Mike Tomlin's one of the longest, if not the longest tenured coach in football. You would think, even if he's not the one calling the plays, like if the offensive coordinator is calling the plays, be like, hey, why are we not doing this? Why are we sitting here with Mitchell, because he can't be called Mitch because it rhymes with another word that rhymes with Mitch and begins with a B, even though he looks like that. He can't be called Mitch anymore, so he's Mitchell Trubisky. And guess what? He ain't the answer. I get it. They drafted Pickett. He's not ready yet, which is the problem. So, Steelers fans, I have some bad news for you. You might be in for it for a little bit. Because Trubisky is not a pocket passer, no matter what anybody thinks. So that limits their playmakers. As everybody saw in the group chat, I was not thrilled that Freiermuth, who's one of their better playmakers, had no targets until like 4 minutes left in that game. How do you not target? And it's just like what I said about Cole Kmet. You have a playmaker, target them. He caught 2 straight passes in coverage to get them down the field. And then end up settling for field goal, which didn't help. But he got them down the field when they finally decided, oh, hey, let's target one of our better players. I don't have the Steelers piss me off. I don't have anything else to say about them. Fuck them. That's what I have to say about them. Sorry, Britt Baker.
I can't say it better.
Fuck your
Yeah, I could
Steelers.
not exude the emotion that you gave, sir, right there. Bills, Dolphins. Dolphins are at home. Let's kick off Sunday, 1:00 football with a great game. I think the Bills will still win, but I think this is going to be a great game.
Well, we talked about a lot last week about statement games, and obviously this will be a statement game. You know, the Dolphins got a chance. I also believe, shocker, that the Bills will win. But if the Dolphins can keep up with them, that's a statement in its own right. I know the football season is not as many games. It's not like baseball where you go get shut out and you're like, okay, there's tomorrow. But you don't want to take L's. But if you take a competitive L where you come out feeling good about it, that's not the worst thing in the world. If Buffalo comes out and smacks you down 41-7, also, that's a problem. The other problem would be is that four Bills defensive starters have already been confirmed out for this week. So this should be, sadly enough, a prime matchup for Tua. So there's no reason the Dolphins shouldn't be able to hang in this game.
But overall, you think the Bills will pull it off?
Yeah, I still think the Bills will win this game because
I agree.
they can control the ball, and it's not even because it's like Singletary, Moss, and Cook are been lighting it up, but it's just because Josh Allen. If they need a run or some, if you need a play and you tell me, hey, I need a play, and I could use Tua or I could use Josh Allen. It's a pretty simple choice.
Agreed. Bengals are at the Jets. Jets going to win this game.
Here's your, sadly, that this is a statement game. The Bengals need to prove that they're a team. And what a better team to do it than the Jets. The Bengals start 0-3. They might as well pack it and shut Joe Burrow down because from his appendectomy or whatever is going on, they've not looked good. And if there's ever a team to look good against, the Jets, yes, they've played better. They still gave up 30 points to Jacoby Brissett. Granted, beat him. But you would think if the Browns can score 30 points on the Jets, there's no reason the Bengals can't score 30 points on the Jets. So this is a big, important game for the Bengals.
Must win.
Yeah, must win. We're 3 weeks into the season, and we already got a must win that the Bengals must beat the Jets.
I couldn't agree more. Raiders versus the Titans. Titans are at home. Raiders should come out
after watching both these teams last week, I wouldn't be shocked if they tied.
That is fair too.
Because the Titans are obviously horrible on offense, and I don't know what the hell the Raiders are doing. Even though it's in Tennessee, I would think the Raiders should win this game, but after, again, seeing highlights of their fourth quarter / overtime, I don't know. I really don't know. You can flip a coin, and whoever wins, I wouldn't be shocked.
I'm going to go with Las Vegas. I don't know. I'm just feeling that Carr and Devontae Adams are going to have a good week. Saints versus good old Carolina.
Oh, boy. This might be the worst game of the week. Oh, no. There's a worse one coming up. But this one's going to give it a run for its money.
I already know the one you're talking about.
This is giving it a run for its money because if the Saints play like they did last week, I don't know if they're beating the Panthers.
Especially how McCaffrey's playing. I'll give you that.
That's what I'm saying. McCaffrey, if he keeps trending in the right direction and the Saints keep trending the way they played last week, this could be, even though the home team, this could be an upset special. It sounds like Kamara's going to play, which is good news for them. But is a banged up Kamara any better than a washed up Ingram?
I think it's going to come to, can we have the Michael Thomas we had a couple on week one? I think he needs to put himself
But
as the
but let's
forefront.
throw this
Even
out here. Was it Michael Thomas or was it Jameis? Why he didn't show up week 2? I mean, the answer on paper looks real simple. So actually, while we're talking, I'll let you talk a little more. I'm gonna go just see how many targets he had, out of curiosity.
go
Because
for it.
if he had a big number of targets and only didn't really pop off, then we know who that's on.
But coming back to this game, it's a division game, very high stakes games this week because I feel like Mr. J was saying, McCaffrey obviously going in an upright and fucking locked in position where he's moving up, and Kamara being injured and just the wear and tear. And obviously, Jameis, not a great quarterback from time to time,
Oh,
has a good
he had
moment.
9 targets, 6 catches on 9 targets, off of his normal rate. But again, you got to
That's a
realize
66%. I'll take
that
that.
he was like an 80% with Drew Brees, with no drops. I don't know why Olave got targeted 13 times. So was it Michael Thomas not getting open? I guess. I mean, I guess it's two part. Maybe he wasn't getting open, or for some reason Jameis was just favoring Olave. Either way, yes, you need Michael Thomas from week 1, but you need the quarterback play from week 1 as well.
Fair. Saints win by 47. Next game, Ravens versus the Patriots. Ravens.
I would say so. The Patriots haven't done anything offensively so far.
No. And Lamar Jackson, every week I watch him, I said, man, I forgot how great of a quarterback. We were talking about this at work the other day. We were saying, do we feel that Lamar Jackson is right now a top 3 quarterback? Coming up
Uh,
to week 2, going into week 3,
it
would you
depends
think
on
that he's
how we're defining quarterback. Are we defining it as fantasy quarterback? Are we defining it as quarterback?
well, I would say for the fantasy purpose, of course, you want to play
I
Lamar
mean, if it's
Jackson.
fantasy, yeah, he probably is a top 3 quarterback.
I mean, he had 100 rushing yards last week, so
Yeah,
will
of
we see
course,
that
but
again against the Patriots defense?
76 of it was on one run, which I'm not knocking him because obviously he's a great running quarterback, but 76 of it was on one run. What
But I
all I'm saying is he's not obviously not thrilled that they lost that game, and you can't put that in any way, shape, or form on him. He went off. Mark Andrews did his thing. The boys did their thing. The defense literally let them down. You're facing a Patriots team who hasn't had much of an offensive identity. Yes, their defense is probably on par with Miami's. So if you put up 38 points on Miami, there's no reason why you can't put 30 on New England. But I'm just saying is, and we see it in a different sport that we watch. Aaron Judge is in a contract year. He's about to win the Triple Crown, hit 60 plus home runs, etc. Lamar Jackson wants to get paid. You don't get paid by playing bad. Unfortunately, some guys play really good in their contract years and get paid and fall off the map. Hopefully, it's not the same with him. But he wants to and needs to get paid. So if the Ravens aren't going to pay him,
somebody else will.
somebody's going to pay him.
And that
So
team is New Orleans.
so you bought. Oh no, they'd be like, no, we got Jameis Winston. We're good. No big deal. We're set for eternity with Jameis. But again, like I said, he's in a contract year, so he's putting his best foot forward. He needs to stay healthy, which he's done a pretty good job of. Even the games that he's gotten hurt, he's at least came back or at least tried to come back in games. So durability for a running quarterback is always a concern, but he's been pretty good with it. So if he stays, obviously if he stays at this pace, A, he might win MVP, but B, he's going to make himself a lot of money. And that bodes well for this season for the Ravens.
That is true. Lions versus Vikings. Vikings are at home. Big division matchup.
This all of a sudden is a big divisional matchup just because the NFC North is not a guarantee. Years past, Aaron Rodgers. They're gonna run the table. This and that. Packers aren't that Packers team, and the Lions are coming up. And like I said, I thought the Vikings would win the division, and they literally didn't even show up last week. So this is a statement game as well, just because the Lions can say, "Hey, we're ready now, not in 2 years. We're coming. We're ready." And the Vikings need to get on track just because they had such a bad week 2. They need to prove that they're team. And guess what? Mr. Kirk Cousins needs to get paid after this year as well. So I would expect a little more out of him.
I think this might be also a great game to watch.
Division games are almost always, and I don't know. I really do think the Lions might win this game.
I was just say if they were playing home, I could definitely see the Lions winning, but
That was my original thought when we just started this conversation, but then I said, you know what? Playing in Minnesota doesn't scare me because A, it's not cold yet.
mm-hmm.
They went from having a dome to not. It's not cold enough yet where that makes a difference because the Lions are an indoor team. So I don't see that making that much of a difference unless there's some insane amount of wind or, really, really awkward weather for September. I,
Which could
I
be,
don't
you never
I
know.
don't think I don't think that's it being a home game is really an issue this week.
I agree, Lions. Eagles, Commanders. Commanders are at home. Eagles go 3-0.
I think they have to. I mean, again, basing off of last week, this should be a blowout. So the Eagles defense showed up. Jalen Hurts, who I can't stand because I don't think he's a legit quarterback, showed up last week because, of course, I was playing him. And I'm playing him again this week, so he's definitely going for 330 this week as well. But based off of the way they've looked, yes, again, they almost blew a big lead to Detroit. This should be, even though they're on the road, a win for the Eagles. And
I
if there's one
agree.
one thing we learned about football so far is anything can happen. The Jaguars shut out a team.
And the Giants are 2-0. The list goes on. Kansas City Chiefs versus Matt Ryan Colts.
There we go. We get to talk about these good old Colts. So again, another thing with a road team is probably going to blow them out. If you can't score on Jacksonville, how are you going to score on Kansas City? But A, they need Michael Pittman to play, and B, they need to, and you'll like this because you have him. Rely
Jonathan Taylor.
on Jonathan Taylor to
Yep,
carry the
exactly.
load. He had 31 carries in week 1, and they tied. And then he didn't get 31 carries in week 2, and they tied me because I didn't score any points. So I mean, they tied something. Wasn't the team they're facing, but they tied something. So now you're facing a legitimate offense, and I hate to call these teams average, but they're definitely an average defense. They have good pass rush at times, but they've lost the legit playmakers. So they have enough, but their offense is obviously their strong point.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to keep up with the Chiefs' offense, which you couldn't keep up with Jacksonville's offense. So that's not a good start. So I just could see the Chiefs winning this game by 21. Maybe even more if the Jaguars beat them by 24, or maybe the Chiefs might win by 35.
That's a fact. Texans versus the Bears. Bears are at home.
Oh God, Texans gonna get their second tie.
I was going to say, not to be crash, but this is definitely the game that I do not expect much out of.
To be fair, Justin Fields is undefeated in Chicago. Granted, he needed a tsunami and Eli Mitchell getting hurt to win, but God, if I see this game once on Red Zone, I might be shocked.
At the end of the day, I think that it will be a tie, and I'm not bullshitting.
This isn't even a statement game for anybody, like any team. This is a statement game for individual players. Pierce needs to get going for the Texans. They used him more in week 2, which is a good sign. Justin Fields needs to get going for the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess whichever team's young playmakers can do something will win if they do something. But like we said, who wouldn't be shocked if this game ties?
Nobody. Jacksonville Chargers. Chargers are at home.
So this is an extremely tough game. And it's not because the Jaguars won last week. It's because Justin Herbert's going to be a legit game time decision. The Chargers without Justin Herbert might be fairly even to Jacksonville. And that's scary. The Chargers are supposed to be a legit playoff team, and a possible sleeper to make a Super Bowl run. But you take away their quarterback out of this equation. Eckler hasn't done much. Keenan Allen's banged up one way or another. Mike Williams was great last week. But these were with Justin Herbert. And if he's playing at 70% or he's not playing at all, I don't know if I'm that excited about this Chargers team. I'm not excited about the Jaguars at all, but they showed they can put up some points. So I could see this being, a close game if Herbert doesn't play, where Jacksonville could sneak in and eke this game out because James Robinson is legit. When they decide to play him and use him correctly, unlike all of last year. Rookie year, amazing. Year 2, we don't like this guy because he wasn't a high draft pick. Who cares what he does? And then we got a new coaching staff, and they're like, hey, all right, he's legit. Let's put him in plays where he can succeed, and he is. Would I like him to get a few more touches? Absolutely. Do I understand why ETN's getting touches? Absolutely. If they can find a way to work with both backs in the game at the same time, their offense might become something. Obviously, it all revolves around Lawrence anyway. But if they could be one of those teams that roll a 2-back set where it's not a fullback, but they can roll legitly 2 backs and run options and things like that, Jaguars could be onto something.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Rams versus Cardinals. Cardinals are at home. Is Kyler Murray back?
Well, they're both 1-1. So is everybody else in that division. I mean, Seahawks were 1-1. Cardinals are 1-1. The Rams are 1-1, and San Fran is 1-1.
So this is a statement game.
So this is an important early game. I wouldn't call it a statement game, but Matt Stafford needs to show that he can throw.
He got to show
that his elbow is not an important, like a concern. That's what I need to see, and I need to obviously see Kyler Murray. I don't want to say duplicate what he did last week because he was garbage the first 3 quarters. I want to see a complete game out of Kyler Murray, not get down, then finally come back, and then semi get lucky and end up winning the game. I want to see 4 quarters out of Kyler Murray, not a Jalen Hurts type of game from Kyler Murray. Don't get behind and then put up garbage time numbers. Get ahead while putting up numbers. You're at home. Show me that. Give me something. Because one of these teams, I mean, obviously San Francisco as well, but nobody's saying that any of these teams can't win this division. Prove why people say you should win this division.
Exactly. And I think I said a statement game before. For me personally, I stand by it for the Rams. They're the Super Bowl champs. You have to show that you're still a dominating force. You have the running backs. You have Cooper Kupp, the best wide receiver in the game. You see it with going to him. But you got to make a statement here, Rams. You got to show that against Arizona, somebody in your division, that you're here to say, no, we were the Super Bowl champions. We will be, again, the Super Bowl champions this year. Don't you forget it. I think the Rams are going to win by a couple of touchdowns. I think this is going to be a Rams, hey, we're here, don't forget about us party. And Kyler Murray's invited.
The only reason why I'm not calling this one, even though it probably is a statement game, is because they started really slow last year too. And they got it going when it needed to be. And the Cardinals started last year really hot. And look what happened. So that's why I'm not putting a huge stock into this game, because we saw what the Rams could do starting slow last year, and we saw what the Cardinals can't do after starting hot last year. So I think this is, if I were to call it a statement game, which I'm not, it's a player statement game. The Rams running backs, one of them needs to take over. Henderson, Akers, whoever. Stafford needs to prove that he can throw the ball consistently with an elbow injury. Because I think we may have talked about it last week, we may not have. The Rams are one of the teams ready to swipe in and try and sign Jimmy Garoppolo if he had gotten cut. So that tells you that there was concern about Stafford's elbow. So he needs to put all of that doubt to rest. He needs to come out and I know what Cooper Cup is. He's a possession receiver. He's not, you're not going to see Cooper Cup wide open 50 yards down the field because he burned a guy. But they do have guys who can get down the field. Show me you can get the ball to those guys down the field. Everybody knows you can throw it 10 yards down the field to Cooper Cup 20 times a game. We all know that. Show me something else.
Packers, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's home. America's game of the week. Because God, how can it not be with Rodgers versus Brady?
Oh, you know it is. This is a statement game. The Bucks are obviously without Godwin, as you reported earlier. Mike Evans is suspended. Julio Jones, I think, is playing, but if he does, isn't at 100%. Russell Gage isn't at 100%. Rob Gronkowski's still retired. So who's Tom Brady throwing the ball to? So in this sense, that's a statement game. But the worst part is you could say the same exact thing for the Packers. Who's Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball to? Aaron Jones? Because he seems like that's the only guy, passing wise that he can trust. Watson's had a few misplays, we'll call them. Dropped a touchdown. I think he fumbled as well last week. It's just hard. I know he's a young kid, a rookie, but you know how veteran quarterbacks are when they get frustrated when their young players aren't playing up to par. So what can he really get from his receivers? Yeah, he loves Lazard. Lazard's banged up. He played last week. But I guess the show me of this game is passing offenses. Show me you can throw the ball.
That's fair. I'm very curious to see, what actually happens in this game because God knows, like you stated before, a lot of top receivers not there. What are they going to do? It's going to be interesting, but I feel like as much as I hate to say, because everybody knows my feelings on good old Aaron Rodgers, but Tom Brady's going to prove why he's the GOAT here. He'll make it work. He'll find somebody. It's if the Packers D, in my opinion, can hold up. And if they can, I see the Packers winning, but being that it's in Tampa, I feel that Tampa will win. Not by a lot, but by maybe 7 to 10 points. Falcons, Seahawks. Seahawks are at home.
That's the only thing for once this week that's stopping me from thinking a road team is going to win. I think the Falcons right this second are a better team. They're definitely a more dynamic team. But I think the crowd gets rowdy. So if there's a crowd, because I think the Mariners are in Kansas City, so the fans will show up to this game. So if the fans are raucous and all that, and the houses are rocking, I think that's gonna be the downfall of the Falcons. If this game were in Atlanta, I wouldn't even hesitate to tell you that Atlanta's winning this game. But the fact that it's in Seattle, I think Seattle's gonna pull off a close dub. And I mean, not even a pretty one. It could be 14-13. Something like that. I don't see it being pretty either way.
I think that I think it all depends on if the crowd shows off. Everybody says in Seattle it's that crowd, It's a stadium I would love to go to and experience myself. On paper, the Falcons are the better team, but I think that like happened week 1, I think Seahawks and the fans are going to surprise us, and I do think, like you said, it's going to be an fucking 21-22 game. It's going to be insane, but I think Seahawks pull it out at the end. 49ers are at Broncos. Good old Russell Wilson's we were just talking about his old home. So is Russell Wilson home with the Broncos? Because he's not looking great lately. And the 49ers with Jimmy G is heating up. So what do you think, Mr. Rush?
Well, you told me Jerry Judy's not playing, so that's already scary. Russell Wilson hasn't been good, and he's out one of his best two playmakers. So he needs to. This is a big game for him. The only thing that makes this a big game for San Fran is that they lost to the Bears week 1.
Jerry is back to practice as of today.
Did you just tell me before? Was it? Oh no, that was somebody
That was
else.
Hunter.
That was yep. Okay. So
But
yeah,
as of today, Judy is practicing. He's on the wide receiver 3 line due to a quick comeback.
yeah, which means he's not playing in his normal spot. That KJ is probably stepping into his spot, which is fine. He's capable wide receiver. Obviously
Yep.
not the same caliber, but
Does that change your mind, or where's that put you at?
no. I think the 49ers still should win this game. Unless Debo's hurt and I don't know about it. I mean, I want Russell Wilson to put up numbers. Playing in that thin air and all that, that's why I took him. I thought he would put up huge numbers this year. He's got
That's why I
weapons
took him.
and a run game, and he's shown me nothing through 2 games. Yeah, whoop-de-doo, you beat the Texans and barely scored on the Texans. That's what you've shown me. I think San Fran is the better team. I know San Fran is the better team, and that's why I think San Fran, even though they're the road team, wins this game.
21-10 49ers is my guess. Finally, the Monday night game. Cowboys versus the Giants. Giants are at home. Giants are 2-0. My God, if this could put anybody's doubts.
Well, that's what we're going to start with. Did the clock strike midnight yet? Or has it not reached midnight and the Cinderella gets to keep dancing? Tell me.
Well, let's take a look quickly. I'm just curious here. They got the Bears next week.
Yeah, real tough schedule so far for the good old Giants. Playing a bunch of juggernauts.
I here, if you're asking me, I think midnight has not stopped yet. I think the Giants will pick up a victory here. I think Dallas, even though they got the win, I mean, there's no Dak, and I think at the end of the day, that's going to show. And I think, as much as I hate to think it, I think Barkley will have a nice game, and I think that the Giants will be 3-0, and maybe next week be 4-0, and put doubts to rest. I think the first true test for these Giants will be against the Eagles, who have looked just as good as them. Not saying surprisingly, because as we said before, they were a postseason team. But I mean, I think the Giants do have the opportunity here to show something special, and being at home, I think, makes all the difference as well. What are your thoughts on it, sir?
I just want to grab a number real quick because I fully disagree with you. That I think this is the Giants' first real test. And the reason I say that is the Cowboys team. So just bear with me. Again, we've talked about the Bengals haven't looked great, right? But they spent a lot of money to repair that offensive line in Cincinnati. The Cowboys had 6 sacks last week. So can this Giants O-line protect the golden one, Daniel Jones, future MVP? Can they protect him from this Cowboys pass rush? And if we've seen anything in years past, we all know the answer is no. So with that being said, I think the Cowboys take this game because they do present something. The Giants, we don't know what they're going to present. Maybe Barkley goes nuts, maybe he doesn't. All that.
But you stand by. You're right there, but you stand by that.
Yeah, we're good.
You think Dallas will take the dub
Because of their defense, not because of the offense.
No, I heard you.
I think that the defense makes all the difference in this game. They'll be able to score just enough where that the Giants will have a hard time against the Cowboys defense.
I think by the end of the first quarter, we'll know where this game lands.
I don't know because I could I could see it being 0-0, 3-3, 7-7, like early on, just like what we talked about that Bucs Saints game. I could see that being the first half of that
Mm-mm.
game. As to whoever comes out in the second half.
I agree. All right. I think that sums up our week 3. I think it's going to be a fantastic week of football. Very excited to watch all the games. Let's go Saints. As we all know, that's the right answer every time. Uh, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. Of course, you can follow us all around here on Facebook, here on YouTube, and here on good old Twitch. You can check all those out. We are live every Friday at 6:30 now because of obligations, but it's fun because I think it worked out. We talked about Thursday game and how, good God, who knows what's going on over in Pittsburgh. I think it's just
Thanks.
the town is a general. You got the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's just the Pittsburgh terribleness. But yeah, so if you enjoy, please like, subscribe. Mr. J. Rush, anything to add, sir?
No, I hope that this is a good week. There's not. I get it. It's only week 3, but there's only 2 games where you're like, eh, like who cares?
I'm excited for the Texans versus Browns. Are you kidding me? That's all I've been thinking about.
God, if only they were playing the Browns, then it would be a game. But anyway, no,
Thank you.
I was just saying we get I'm hoping we get some good action this week. Where the teams that needed to show up, and
What is your desired pick of the week?
what game to watch?
Yep.
The Dolphins game.
I knew you were going to say that. So now I got to change my answer because we can't have the same.
Oh,
And I'm going to
who
go
are
with
you?
the Vikings Lions.
I mean, nobody's saying that may not be a good game as well. But I'm
There's
just
a
saying
resurgence coming in Detroit.
yeah, I mean, I would love to see it. Everybody likes to root for that underdog. So let's go. If they're the team you gotta hitch the wagon to, let's go. I'm just saying these teams that are struggling, Cincy, Broncos, let's go. You guys are supposed to be good. Play to your standards. Don't play down to your opponents. Stuff like that. If the Bengals play down to the Jets this week, their season might already be over. And it's not even like somebody's running away with that division, but we know Lamar is just the man, I guess you could call him. So they got what it takes. These other guys got to keep par with them, and they're already behind the 8 ball. So
Indeed. Sir, always a pleasure.
thank you. Go
We'll
enjoy
see you guys
dinner.
next week. Wait. Yeah, I got undone this time.
Yeah. And your camera freeze. How do we end stream since he didn't?